Chapter 782. Su Yiyen spent her first meal back home in shame and indignation. She didn't even know what to eat. However, someone didn't know what to do. As soon as they finished eating, he threw his son to the child's grandmother and rushed into the bedroom excitedly with Su Yiyen. At that time, Su Yiyen didn't realize that there was a wolf sitting next to her. She pinched her soft belly and was worried. The little guy was out, but her belly didn't recover so quickly. Thinking about her thin waist before she was pregnant with the little guy, and then looking at the little chubby belly now, Su Yiyen was very resentful. Why are you sighing? Who made you unhappy? Who else could it be other than you? Su Yiyen glared at Hu Qinhuan angrily. It was this guy who forced her to drink several bowls of soup just now, causing her belly to be full of water now. Hu Qinhuan knew what she was angry about. Without thinking, he said, "Well, I was wrong. Don't be angry. It's not good for your health." Su Yiyen felt like she had punched cotton. Not only did she not calm down, but she was even more depressed. You're always like this. You apologize whenever you do something wrong. Don't you dare next time. Hu Qinhuan touched his nose a little guiltily and said embarrassedly, "This time, I really don't dare." Su Yiyen stared at him suspiciously. Obviously, she didn't believe his words. Seeing this, Hu Qinhuan had to try his best to prove his feelings. He said sincerely, "Really, I won't force you to do anything you don't like in the future. You said so before. Didn't you regret it today? I'm just curious." Su Yiyen raised her eyebrows. Curious about what? Curious about whether those soups are really useful. Su Yiyen was stunned for a few seconds before she realized what he meant. The expression on her face suddenly froze. She looked at him in disbelief. You, I didn't expect you to have such a husband. I was wrong about you. After Hu Qinhuan finished speaking, she seemed to realize that she was asking for a beating. She hurriedly tried to salvage the situation by saying, "I was thinking too much. If you don't have it, then don't have it. Anyway, our baby doesn't lack the money for milk powder." It would have been better if Hu Qinhuan hadn't said anything. Once he did, Su Yiyen's face turned even redder. She glared at him angrily and turned her back completely, refusing to talk to him. Realizing that she had caused trouble again, Hu Qinhuan hurriedly continued to apologize and coax her. After coaxing for a long time, Su Yiyen suddenly asked, "Do I look ugly like this?" She had just given birth not long ago. Her belly was still very obvious, and her face was still round. Her look seemed to have been pulled down quite a bit. Of course, only Su Yiyen thought so. Hu Qinhuan couldn't keep up with his wife's thoughts, but he still said without thinking, "No, in my eyes, you will always be the most beautiful." In his opinion, Su Yiyen was also good-looking before, but she was a little too thin. She looked as if she would be blown away by a little wind. Now she was just right. She was a little meaty, not too fat or too thin. She was soft when he held her, and he couldn't bear to put her down. If you have time to think about nonsense, why don't you do something serious? Su Yiyen's whole body trembled. She suddenly had an ominous premonition. Something serious. What is it? You drank so much soup last night. I don't know if it's useful. Let me check for you. What? You? Oh. Before Su Yiyen had time to protest, her mouth had been blocked by Hu Qinhuan. After that, she didn't have a chance to protest. Chapter 783. Su Yiyen had just given birth not long ago, so Hu Qinhuan naturally couldn't do anything to her. Even so, the next morning, Hu Qinhuan was kicked out of the door by Su Yiyen, and he was banned from the bedroom for a month on the spot. Hu Qinhuan, who was kicked out of the house the next day. He regretted it very much, very much. During Su Yiyen's 1-month confinement period at home, she had more to do than when she was pregnant. Qing Shuqin reminded her several times, emphasizing that a woman must recuperate well during her confinement period after giving birth. Otherwise, it would be easy to leave a lasting illness. Hu Qinhuan attached great importance to this matter. After hearing Qing Shuqin's words, he was even more nervous and didn't let Su Yiyen do any heavy work. As a result, in the following month, Su Yiyen ate and drank every day, but the fat on her stomach didn't go down at all. During this period, Su Yiyen also received a lot of congratulations from her family, friends, and company employees. After Ling Xiaoqi learned that Su Yiyen had given birth, she went to the hospital to visit her once. Now that she heard that she had nothing to do at home and was very bored, and the two of them lived close to each other, she came to accompany her. Little star, I'm your Auntie Xiaoqi. Call me Auntie, call me Auntie. Su Yiyen looked at Ling Xiaoqi, who was standing beside the stroller and playing with her baby for a long time. Even if she didn't get any response, she couldn't bear to leave. She felt helpless and amused. He's only been born for less than a month. How can he speak so early? Moreover, my baby doesn't even know how to call his parents. How can he call you Auntie first? Ling Xiaoqi turned to look at Su Yiyen and said with some pride, that's not necessarily true. Children are very smart. If you don't teach him to call you early, he might really call me Auntie first in the future. Su Yiyen laughed. You like my baby so much. Who wouldn't like such a soft cub? Especially since this little cub was especially well behaved. It didn't cry or make a fuss. If you teased it for a long time, it would suddenly smile at you. That smile would make you go soft. Su Yiyen's eyes flashed and he said with a smile, since you like it so much, I'll allow you to have a daughter in 4 years. When that time comes, our Zai will give priority to your family. Ling Xiaoqi. Thank you so much. You're talking as if your son is choosing a concubine. Why must it be within 4 years? Because after 4 years, my baby will be suspected of being an old cow eating young grass. Ling Xiaoqi. Should I praise you for having some self-awareness? While the two of them were busy bickering, a figure suddenly walked over with several plates of fruits and pastries in his hands. After talking for so long, you must be hungry, right? Didn't you say you wanted to eat strawberries? They were delivered today. I just tasted one. It's very sweet and not sour. You should eat more. Ling Xiaoqi sat opposite the two of them. Listening to Hu Qinhuan's fawning coaxing, she almost couldn't help but burp. This public display of affection really didn't give a single dog any way to survive. Looking at the exquisite pastries and fruits placed in front of her, she suddenly didn't know what to eat. Sob, she felt that she was being abused so badly. Su Yiyen wasn't so easily bought over by these plates of fruits and pastries. A certain someone's ban hadn't been lifted yet. Any show of goodwill at this time would be regarded as impure motives. Oh, leave it. I'll eat it later. Su Yiyen paused and said, I have something to say to Xiaoqi. It's not convenient for you to stay here. Go back to work early. Especially cold, especially ruthless, especially arrogant. Humph. Chapter 784. When Hu Qinhuan heard what she said, a hurt look flashed across her face. She nodded like a little wife, and before she left, she didn't forget to remind her, don't be angry, I'll leave now. Remember to eat, it's good for your body. Not only Su Yiyen, but even Ling Xiaoqi, an outsider, couldn't help but feel pity for that pitiful look. Did you quarrel with your husband? Why do I feel like your man is being wronged and trying to get on your good side? As if waking up from a dream, Su Yiyen secretly cursed a certain someone for being so scheming. She actually deliberately acted pitiful in front of Ling Xiaoqi to force her to give in. I worked so hard to give birth to a chubby baby for him. Shouldn't he be trying to get on my good side? I just asked him to bring me food, and he's being wronged. I used to cook for him every day. So, you're being spoiled because of the baby. When Ling Xiaoqi heard this, her face was full of indescribable emotions. She stared at Su Yiyan as if to say, I didn't expect you to be such a person. Su Yiyan, who was immediately put in the black pot. That trash of a man set me up. It's not that I want to say this, but there's a limit to acting spoiled and being unreasonable. Data shows that many married men cheat on their wives when they're pregnant or shortly after their wives give birth. On one hand, their wives' pregnancy can't satisfy their physical needs. On the other hand, their wives are emotional during pregnancy. In layman's terms, they're more pretentious. Some men are unhappy at home, and it's especially easy for other little white flowers to take advantage of the situation. Once they're together, it's impossible to stop them. Su Yiyan. According to what you're saying, am I acting spoiled now? Or am I being unreasonable? Of course, I'm not saying that it's not good. What's wrong with a wife being a little spoiled after 10 months of pregnancy? Those who cheat during pregnancy are all scumbags. I'm just reminding you not to torment others too much. Look at your man. He doesn't even mind that you're old after giving birth. He doesn't go to his big company and serves you at home every day like you're his ancestor. You're still so noisy. I can't stand it anymore. How many benefits did he give you to make you betray him so quickly? You've changed, you're no longer the little angel who always put me in charge. What benefits can he give me? I'm on the side of reason, not family. Strictly speaking, it's for your own good. If I really drive her away, won't you come crying to me? Su Yiyan cried, you dare to raise such a vicious flag. I suspect that you're a spy sent by my opponent to curse me. Also, what do you mean by old and yellow? Are you saying that I'm ugly now? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned. She looked at Su Yiyan from head to toe and said sincerely and tactfully, no, you're now exuding the radiance of motherly love. You're so shiny, so bright. Su Yiyan. What the F***ck is this motherly love radiance? Su Yiyan was full of ambition, but Ling Xiaoqi's words shattered it into pieces. She was in a trance. When Hu Qinhuan came down from upstairs, Ling Xiaoqi had already left. Yuan was wearing its little apron and walking around, busily making milk for the baby. This care-type robot was only responsible for cleaning the house and trimming the garden since it entered the house. It was really a waste of its talents. Now that there was a baby in the house, its series of functions could finally be put to good use. These few days, it was so busy that it no longer had to worry about its skills rusting due to idleness. Chapter 785. Hu Qinhuan walked down again and found that Su Yiyan was curled up into a small ball on the sofa alone. If he didn't look carefully, he really couldn't find her. Hu Qinhuan was stunned for a moment, thinking that something had happened to her. He hurriedly went downstairs and ran to her. He reached out and touched her forehead. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Su Yiyan was also stunned when she saw him suddenly rushing over. She immediately pouted and didn't care that they were still in a cold war. She said aggrievedly, Xiaoqi said that I am now exuding the radiance of motherly love. Does she mean that I am old? Of course not. Hu Qinhuan retorted without thinking. At the same time, he felt that his wife's mood was a little strange recently, so he couldn't help but worry. However, he temporarily suppressed this worry and coaxed with a faint smile, she means that you have become more mature after giving birth. Mature men are very charming, and so are mature women. I think you are more beautiful and charming now than before. If possible, I want to take this opportunity to hide you at home and never show you to other men outside. Hua Qinhuan's coaxing made Su Yiyan's face look a little better, but she still confirmed again, really? Of course it's true. Hua Qinhuan leaned over and kissed Su Yiyan's forehead. He said meaningfully, instead of spending time and energy thinking about these groundless things, why don't you think about whether you can move me out of the guest room tonight? Move me out. Su Yiyan was held in Hua Qinhuan's arms and snorted like a little piglet. Where do you want to move me? Of course, back to our bedroom. In your dreams. It was fine if Hua Qinhuan didn't mention this. As soon as he mentioned this, Su Yiyan remembered that someone had pretended to be pitiful in front of Ling Xiaoqi before. Say, did you do it on purpose just now? On purpose what? Deliberately pretended to be pitiful in front of Xiaoqi and let her think that I bullied you. You're accusing me wrongly. I just hope that she can help me say a good word and beg for your forgiveness. Hua Qinhuan couldn't help but kiss her. Moreover, as long as you want, I can serve you tea like today every day as long as you can calm down. Su Yiyan was not really angry that she drove Hua Qinhuan to sleep in the guest room. But it's a month. Hua Qinhuan stared at her with puppy eyes. His expression was very similar to the pitiful look of a hungry puppy asking for milk. Can't you make an exception? Since you bullied me that night, I should have let you sleep in the guest room for a few days. Let's see if you still dare to do it in the future. When Hua Qinhuan saw how resolute Su Yiyan was, she knew that there was no turning back. Hence, she did not continue to harp on the matter. Instead, she was calculating in her heart how high the success rate of a sneak attack would be in the following days. Fortunately, Su Yiyan did not have the ability to read minds and did not know what Hua Qinhuan was thinking. Otherwise, she would have to sleep in the guest room for another month. It was not easy to coax Su Yiyan into forgetting about Ling Xiaoqi's words. However, Hua Qinhuan took Su Yiyan's abnormal behavior to heart. The next day, she secretly consulted a private doctor behind Su Yiyan's back. The conclusion she got was that she was suffering from mild postpartum depression. Chapter 786. From your description, your wife does have some symptoms of postpartum depression. However, it should still be in a relatively mild state. The fact that you can discover it so early shows that your relationship with your wife should be very good. This is also a good thing. Early detection and early treatment can control it early. If it is delayed for too long, it may become more serious and difficult to treat. Hua Qinhuan heard his words but did not comfort him at all. She frowned and said, her mood has been fluctuating a little recently. Is this also the reason? Yes. Many people only know that pregnant women have mood swings during pregnancy and can't control them. In fact, the period after giving birth is the most difficult period for pregnant women. During this period, they are under a lot of psychological pressure, and their emotions are not easy to control. They are also relatively sensitive in all aspects and are very easily affected by external things. Hua Qinhuan was silent for a moment and asked in a deep voice, external things. What kind of external things cause this situation? There are many factors that cause postpartum depression. The more common one is that the relationship between the husband and wife or even the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law is not harmonious. The husband and wife relationship in their family had always been good, and there was no conflict between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. This reason was obviously not valid. It could also be that the pressure of taking care of the child is too great. The child is noisy, or they don't know how to feed and take care of the child. The child was taken care of by the servants and Yuan at home. He would also help to look after the child when he was free. He rarely let her tire herself out because of this, so this should not be the reason. Another reason is that after pregnancy, many pregnant women's figures will change. The growth of the fetus will make their figures out of shape. Even after the child is born, the changed figure can't be restored to its original state. This will also give them a certain amount of pressure. Hua Qinhuan was stunned. She suddenly remembered that on the first night they returned home, Su Yiyan seemed to have pinched her chubby belly and asked her if it was ugly. Another reason is that she can't fully adapt to the change in identity. Change in identity? Yes. Madam is still young and is in the most beautiful period of a girl's life. Even if she marries and becomes your wife, she will definitely feel the same as before. But now that she has given birth, it means that she has changed from a wife to a child's mother. From this moment onwards, she can no longer prioritize herself over everything and do whatever she wants to do. Let's give a simple example. Before marriage, you and Madam could go out anytime, anywhere, shopping, watching movies, or even traveling. But after having a child, Madam will subconsciously think of the child no matter what she does. Even if she goes out shopping or watching movies, she will think about the child at home. Did you eat and sleep properly? Did you cry? And traveling is almost impossible in a short period of time. Such a sudden change in identity will bring a certain psychological impact to Madam, and it will also have a certain psychological impact on her. If it were not for the doctor's analysis, Hua Qinhuan would never have thought that Su Yiyan's reaction to Ling Xiaoqi's casual remark was so intense that there were so many twists and turns hidden behind it. Chapter 787. The doctor gave a lot of suggestions, and Hua Qinhuan carefully noted them down one by one. Since then, Su Yiyan felt that Hua Qinhuan had changed. It was not that she had changed for the better, but that she had become more clingy. Other than the necessary meetings and urgent company matters, Hua Qinhuan basically stayed at home and tried to find food for her to eat. From time to time, she would prepare some surprises to cheer her up. In addition, Hua Qinhuan also called Ling Xiaoqi over to spend more time with Su Yiyan. After Ling Xiaoqi found out about Su Yiyan's postpartum depression, she also realized that her previous banter with her was inappropriate. For this reason, Ling Xiaoqi blamed herself. Fortunately, Hua Qinhuan did not blame her. She only asked her to spend more time with Su Yiyan when she was free and talk to her about the outside world to relieve her boredom. Ling Xiaoqi naturally agreed. With the efforts of the two, Su Yiyan's situation gradually improved. Even Qing Shuqin, who was passionate about raising his grandson, did not realize that his daughter had a short period of depression after giving birth. In addition to taking care of Su Yiyan meticulously, Hua Qinhuan also wanted to find something to divert her attention. However, she had not found the right opportunity. However, things soon came knocking on her door. As the baby's 1-month-old birthday approached, there was good news from the research institute. The medicinal seeds that Su Yiyan had previously given to the research institute, such as lotus seeds, wolfberries, Chinese motherwort, red dates, and other medicinal herbs that had a relatively short planting cycle, had been harvested and could officially be sold on the shelves. This could be said to be a great benefit for the loyal viewers who had been waiting in line for more than a year and had yet to make a reservation. As soon as the Research Institute made the announcement, the viewers in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room spontaneously acted as the tap water. All kinds of retweets, comments, and likes came like a dragon. In a short while, it was pushed to the top of the trending list, letting many people know about it. Originally, the development of this matter was quite joyous. However, at this time, a few verified accounts suddenly appeared and criticized this was just a false marketing to deceive the world. The so-called ancient Earth's medicinal herbs did not exist at all. It was a virtual thing. There were even a few people who were particularly aloof, hinting that the Research Institute had deliberately created an internet celebrity to deceive the masses in order to apply for research funding from the higher-ups. For the sake of his own interests, he had completely thrown the lives and health of everyone to the back of his mind. It was truly despicable. Where did these old farts pop out from? Also, where did this stupid medical association come from? Considering that his younger sister had just given birth, Su Yuxuan, who had successfully taken over his younger sister's work and contacted the research institute to promote the Chinese medicinal herbs to the market, almost couldn't help but swear on the spot. Although not many people paid attention to those verified accounts, if one were to search for them, they would find that these people were basically the seniors of the medical association. In the eyes of ordinary people, they were representative authoritative figures and professional insiders. After these people jumped out to criticize for a while, the medical association that they were backed by also jumped out to make a specious post. Although there were no clear statements to support these people, it was difficult not to associate them in this sensitive period. Many people might not dare to have any dissatisfaction with the research institute, but they had a preconceived suspicion of Su Yiyan and the Chinese medicinal herbs that were about to be promoted. Chapter 788. Su Yiyan frowned as she listened to her brother's complaints. She knew about the Chinese Medical Association. The Chinese Medical Association, as the name suggested, was an association that controlled the right to use all kinds of drugs. However, not all drugs were in their hands. Logically speaking, the Chinese Medical Association would have been the best choice if she had wanted to hand over those Chinese herbs. However, she had never considered the association at all and had instead handed the herbs to the research institute. Firstly, it was because her grandfather was more familiar with the research institute. If she wanted to seek protection, the research institute was obviously more suitable than the Chinese Medical Association. Secondly, she had also heard of the Chinese Medical Association. In her previous life, the association had several internal disputes because of profit issues. On the surface, it seemed peaceful, but in reality, there were constant disputes, and its reputation was not very good. If she handed those Chinese herbs to them, she would be lucky if they did not bite off a piece of meat from her, let alone seek protection. Hua Qinhuan had asked people to monitor all kinds of public opinions about Su Yiyan on the internet. As soon as these people jumped out, her subordinates spontaneously ran to investigate. While the siblings were talking, Yu Zian and the others had already sent the information they had found to Hua Qinhuan. The Chinese Medical Association developed an anti-cancer drug a week ago, and it caused a sensation in the industry. Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes and sneered. No wonder. It seems that we have touched someone else's cheese. They had just developed an anti-cancer drug, and the research institute had announced that they would promote Chinese herbs. It was impossible to say that this had no impact on the Chinese Medical Association, which had always had the right to speak about drugs. However, this matter could have been a win-win situation for both sides, but the Chinese Medical Association had obviously not considered this point. Instead, they had directly sent the Chinese herbs and the research institute to the teeth of the storm. Did they really think that they could cover the sky with one hand and do whatever they wanted? Did they really think that they could do whatever they wanted and look down on others? Ha! Su Yiyan sneered. No matter how good a thing was, as long as it was related to capital, it would become utilitarian and sharp. Take drugs for example. They were supposed to be used to save lives and heal the injured, but in the end, they had become a tool for businessmen to pursue fame and profit. The Chinese Medical Association has a reputation, and these old guys have some reputation in the industry. I'm afraid this won't be easy to handle. What do you plan to do? What do you mean? You don't have to do anything. Do nothing. Isn't that? Su Yuxuan looked at her sister. She almost thought that she had lost her mind after being pregnant for 3 years. She was so upset that she had given up on herself. What's the hurry? The promotion of Chinese medicinal herbs was only the first step. If they couldn't even achieve this step, it would be impossible to promote more complicated pharmacology and Chinese medicine. Don't worry, there are people who are more anxious than us. Su Yiyan's guess was right. There were indeed people who were more anxious than them. They were the seniors who had listened to Su Yiyan's lectures in a university. They were different from the pioneers who relied on the Chinese Medical Association to stand up straight. Although these seniors were all registered in the Chinese Medical Association, most of them had their own independent research laboratories. Their relationship with the TCM Association was more of a cooperative relationship. In fact, the TCM Association even relied on them more. After all, without the support of some big shots, how could the TCM Association still be considered a TCM Association? And it was these big shots who almost jumped in anger on the spot when they heard the students talk about these things on the internet. Chapter 789. They're a bunch of old bastards who only know how to hang around in various associations and wait for death. Usually, when they're busy, they don't even show up. Now, they're jumping out as if someone dug up their ancestral graves. Yi Qiliang was trembling with anger. He had been waiting for this day for too long. He had finally seen some hope, but it was ruined by these people. Yi Qiliang wanted to swallow them alive. Yi Qiliang was not the only one who was angry. Even though he had not gone to University A with a pure purpose in mind. Most people were just curious about what Chinese medicine, which Yi Qiliang had admired for most of his life, was like. However, after a year of online learning, many people were attracted to this subject and truly fell in love with it. To these people, the Chinese Medical Association's move was no different from plucking the hair from a tiger's mouth. Isn't that right? Look at how weird they are. Why didn't I realize that these people's mouths are so cheap? I haven't interacted with them many times before. On the surface, they seem like decent people, but I didn't expect them to have such low moral standards. They can even lie through their teeth when things are obvious. Did you just realize? These people are not good people to begin with. Do you remember the pharmaceutical exchange 5 years ago? At that time, I saw with my own eyes that these people deliberately bullied the young people who attended the exchange. Not only did they take advantage of their seniority, but one or two of them even, harassed the young girls in the hotel at that time. That's true. More than 10 people present were shocked. Why didn't you tell us? The old man who was yelled at touched his nose guiltily. Then, he snorted coldly and said angrily, "Would you believe me if I told you? I only found out by chance. I didn't have any recording equipment with me. Who would believe me if I told you?" The old man who spoke had a fiery temper. He was a loner and did not get close to the others. Even though they knew that he did not have any bad intentions and had some real talent, they still could not get close to him. Usually, other than the necessary research and work time, they rarely met. With such a friendship, he really couldn't expect the other party to report everything to him. Moreover, as he said, even if he did, would they really believe him? The person who had been criticizing him immediately shut his mouth, feeling inexplicably guilty. After a long while, someone spoke again, discussing these people whom they seemed to have met for the first time. Although I've only met them a few times, I really don't like them. I just didn't expect them to have no bottom line. In the end, they were all old foxes who had lived for most of their lives. Their judgment of people was still very accurate. It's just that if you don't understand a person, you'll still have a conservative estimate of a person's character, but you'll forget that human nature is far more complicated than they think. This is too much. As seniors, it's fine if they don't help and support talented juniors, but they're even suppressing them. Do they really think that the academic world is theirs alone? You even harassed girls. A female professor in her 60s was so angry that her face turned red. Such a refined scum is actually from the same place as us. It's because of people like them that the reputation of the pharmaceutical industry is so bad. How did such a morally corrupt person become such a person? Doesn't anyone teach them a lesson? It's because of flattery that they can climb to where they are today. Didn't you see what they posted? Chapter 790. As soon as he said that, everyone present fell silent. On the surface, these so-called seniors were accusing the industry of being fake and exaggerated, warning the public not to be deceived. However, everyone present could tell that the Chinese Medical Association was fanning the flames behind the scenes. They were using these people's words to deliberately suppress Chinese medicine. As for why they were doing this, of course, they were afraid that Chinese medicine would really be useful and affect their monopoly on the medicine market, which would affect their way of making money. The main problem is still with the Chinese Medical Association. I used to think that they were unscrupulous, but I didn't expect. It's not strange. The Chinese Medical Association is no longer the same as it was 20 years ago. They've changed so many foremen, and each generation is worse than the last. In recent years, they've even gotten a few laymen to manage it. They've turned a good place into a mess. How can it still be like before? Everyone present was more or less disappointed when they heard that. Although they were only part of the association in name, they were actually very close to the first president of the association. When the association was established back then, they had also contributed a lot. Unfortunately, the president later passed away due to illness, and the upper management of the association had changed several times. Everyone watched as the place gradually became unfamiliar, but they could do nothing about it. In the end, they simply stayed in name and did not participate in their internal affairs. This had been going on for many years. During this period, some businessmen in the association did not use their names to show off. As long as they did not go overboard, they tolerated it for the sake of the first president. However, this time, I think they've been too complacent over the years. They've forgotten their own capabilities and their original intention of establishing the Chinese Medical Association back then. As soon as Yi Qiliang said this, everyone fell silent again. After a long time, someone finally asked, "What are you going to do? We've already come to this point. What else can we do?" Everyone looked at each other and had an answer in their hearts. When the Chinese Medical Association first discovered that people were discussing Chinese medicine online, they did not pay much attention to it. In their opinion, even if this was true, these Chinese medicine would definitely be very delicate since they would become extinct during the migration process. Even if they could really grow and survive, they would definitely not be able to promote it to the whole nation. It would not affect them. It was this contempt that caused them to be in an awkward situation at this moment. A week ago, they chose the most appropriate time to announce the news that the cancer drug was about to hit the market, which caused a sensation. In the end, this popularity only lasted for less than a week. It was actually suppressed by the Research Institute, a Chinese herbal medicine that came out of nowhere. The higher-ups of the TCM Association were furious when they found out about this. They also felt an unprecedented sense of crisis in their hearts. Over the past few years, the TCM Association had been the dominant force. There was almost no one in the industry who could compete with them. Over time, they had become accustomed to this comfort and took it for granted. Now, an unknown factor had suddenly emerged, and this unknown factor was backed by the Research Institute. After everyone panicked, their unanimous reaction was to strangle it in the cradle before it truly rose. For this reason, they reacted quickly. They found a few obedient seniors and asked them to set the pace on the internet. At the same time, they mobilized the Internet Water Army and the official account of the Chinese Medical Association to ensure that Su Yiyan and the researchers were implicated. There was no way to clear their names. Chapter 791. Things were indeed developing in the direction they had expected. The higher-ups were also proud of their wise decision. However, their joy did not last long. They received news from their subordinates that more than 10 old professors who were originally under the association had collectively sent resignation letters. From that day onward, they would no longer be affiliated with the association. This news was like a bolt of lightning that struck the association. the people inside were thrown off their feet. Associations like theirs were actually similar to some special enterprises. Every year, they would apply for a sum of money from the higher-ups for experimental research and internal operations. They would use this money to conduct research and experiments on new drugs to make profits. However, the prerequisite for applying for this sum of money was that there had to be at least 20 professors in the relevant fields in the association. Only then would they meet the minimum application criteria. This was also the main reason why Yi Qiliang and the others were only affiliated with the association in name, but no one dared to give them any attitude. Now that more than 10 of the 20 old professors had suddenly left, everyone was dumbfounded. There were more than 10 of them, not just a few. No matter what industry they were in, as long as they could be called seniors, they were a scarce resource. With so many of them leaving at once, where were they going to find people to fill this huge hole? After the president of the association recovered from his shock, he immediately rushed to the Human Resources Department and asked for the phone numbers of the old professors. He called them one by one. In the end, either they could not get through, or they hung up the moment they heard his self-introduction. One or two of them had a bad temper and directly retorted, "Don't you know what the association has done?" The president was stunned. What did they do? Before he had time to think about it, the phone was hung up again. The president of the association had never been treated like this ever since he took over the association. His expression immediately turned a little ugly. Just as he was wondering if he should continue calling or devise a countermeasure early to find people to fill this huge hole, he first found out why these people had suddenly resigned. These people had just sent their resignation letters to the association and then reposted the post from the Research Institute to express their anticipation and support. Seniors of their age usually did not surf the internet. Even if they occasionally posted something, it was basically some academic information that was like a heavenly book to ordinary people. Therefore, not many people noticed when they first shared the post. The only one that stood out was Yi Qiliang. Because he had stood up for Su Yiyan before, Su Yiyan's audience paid attention to him. Although the other old professors were not as famous as those celebrities who would have a large number of fans following them whenever there was a slight commotion, there were quite a lot of students under their public accounts. These people had taught and educated people for most of their lives. Although they didn't dare to say that they had students all over the world, they still had quite a few proud students. Once they saw that their teacher, who had been silent for 10,000 years, suddenly had a new situation, many people immediately chased after him. After figuring out the ins and outs of the matter, those who had money paid for the promotion, and those who had money pulled others to help with the promotion. This pushed all of them into the public eye. At this moment, the debate between the Research Institute and the Chinese Medical Association on the internet had yet to die down. Suddenly, a bunch of unfamiliar names suddenly appeared on the internet. The onlookers were all dumbfounded, not knowing what to do. If you don't understand, just ask. What's the situation with these people? They seem to be old accounts that they don't use much. Could it be that they are some low-key big shots? Subway Grandpa looking at mobile. JPG. Chapter 792. Be good and use the search engine well. There will be a surprise. In the face of the unknown, some people would wait for others to come back and explain it to them, while some people would find out the truth by themselves when others asked them to explain it to them. F***ck, they're back after the investigation. I'm a little dazed now. Most low-key people are really big shots. F***ck, no wonder some of the names here look familiar. They once appeared in the textbooks and tortured us when we were students. How can they not be familiar? I only have some impression of this Professor Yi. Last time, when the streamer was criticized in a sarcastic manner, he came out to speak up for her. At that time, someone asked me to explain this big shot's life history. Now that I think about it, it still feels magical. People always feared and worshipped powerful people, especially those who appeared in the textbooks. Many of them were the goals that students worked hard for. Yi Qiliang and the others had many professional fans. It was rare for them to meet a professional in the entertainment industry, so they naturally had to give their mentors enough face. One by one, they told them about the glorious history they had caused. A few of the old professor's students even quarreled over whose mentor was more powerful. The way they quarreled was by constantly throwing their mentor's research results and past glory at each other. The netizens who silently witnessed the fight between the immortals were speechless. They were just watching the show. Why did they have to accept being crushed by geniuses? The aggrieved underachievers almost cried out loud. This show is giving me indigestion. As an underachiever who barely passed, I'm actually watching the gossip of a big shot. Oh, I'm not worthy. These words were the thoughts of all the underachievers present. Soon, someone realized that something was wrong. Am I seeing things? A few of these people are members of the Chinese Medical Association according to their online information. But didn't the Chinese Medical Association just tear apart the female streamer and the researcher not long ago? What's going on now? Are they slapping themselves in the face or are they fighting among themselves? Yes, I noticed it too. It's just that I didn't dare to say anything when I saw a bunch of immortals fighting. I was afraid that I would be implicated. Their doubts soon brought the topic back to the beginning. It was about whether these people were internal members of the TCM Association, whether there was internal strife in the TCM Association, and why. This time, whether the popularization of Chinese medicinal herbs in the Research Institute was related to the internal strife, or if they were just innocently involved and suffered an unexpected disaster. A series of topics continued to ferment. Many media outlets smelled a trace of something unusual and began to make up all kinds of melodramatic guesses. By the time the higher-ups of the association realized that things were completely out of control, it was already too late to contact the seniors and beg for mercy. Yi Qiliang and the others released a joint statement not long after someone mentioned their identities as members of the Chinese Medical Association. He expressed that he did not agree with the current philosophy of the TCM Association, and that he would withdraw from the TCM Association as of today. From now on, he would go his separate ways. This clean and straightforward explanation was not only a slap to the TCM Association's face, but it also shocked the onlookers. Soon after, an insider revealed that more than a dozen seniors of the TCM Association had submitted their resignation letters because they were dissatisfied with the new decision of the higher-ups of the TCM Association to suppress the Research Institute. They had completely announced their departure from the TCM Association. Chapter 793. This revelation could be said to have completely torn off the hypocrisy of the Chinese Medical Association. It also made many people begin to suspect the intentions of the few verified accounts who suddenly appeared to question Chinese medicine. They were all authoritative figures, but those people's reputation, status, and achievements could not compare to Yi Qiliang and the others. When both sides were professionals, outsiders would naturally be more willing to believe the more capable side. Even if the Chinese Medical Association's Crisis Public Relations Department immediately sent a lawyer's letter to warn the so-called insider, it could not win back the hearts of the people. You think it's not true just because you say so? Then why don't you tell me why they suddenly withdrew from the association so forcefully? Anyone with half a brain would know that a large number of big shots suddenly left the association. There must be a big change in the association. Why don't you tell me the reason? Do you really think the netizens are fools? The higher-ups of the Chinese Medical Association watched as the public opinion took a turn and took a sharp turn. Not only did they not trick anyone, but they also caused trouble for themselves. The president of the Chinese Medical Association was so angry that he smashed a glass on the spot. He cursed in the office for a long time, and no one dared to approach him. In the end, a certain someone who was the key to the final outcome was in a good mood. He felt that he could eat another bowl of rice tonight. Did you see it? Su Yuxuan was like those underachievers online who were embarrassed by the popular science. He watched in disbelief as these big shots, who he had only heard of but never seen before, popped up one after another to speak up for his sister and support the research institute. At this moment, he was a little stunned. I saw it. Yen. Yen, where did you find so many big shots to support you? Could it be Grandpa? No, Grandpa's connections are mainly at the research institute. These people in the Chinese Medical Association. Okay, no need to guess. Su Yiyan listened to his brother's nagging and raised his chin slightly with a little pride. These are all my favorite students. Favorite students? Su Yuxuan's expression froze. He said in disbelief, did I hear wrongly? You said they are your students. How old are you? How can you be their teacher? And people like them, what can you teach them? Su Yiyan was both angry and amused when he heard this. Do you look down on your sister that much? This is not a matter of whether I look down on her or not, it's... Su Yiyan looked at him with a faint smile. What is it? Su Yuxuan's intuition told him that something was wrong. He frowned slightly and turned to look at Hu Qinhuan. To confirm. Is what she said true? Hu Qinhuan knew what was going on. He nodded and replied, yes. Su Yuxuan felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His suspicious gaze shifted between the two of them. He clearly suspected that the couple had teamed up to tease him. Su Yiyan could tell what Su Yuxuan was thinking at a glance. She rolled her eyes helplessly and explained the whole story to him, them. Strictly speaking, I should be considered half their teacher, right? Su Yuxuan was even more dazed when he heard this. His sister had actually taught these big shots and was loved by them. Su Yuxuan took some time to digest this huge amount of information. Then, as if he had been provoked, his eyes widened. He pointed at Su Yiyan and shouted, Vixen, give me back my sister. Su Yiyan. Chapter 794. The room suddenly fell into a dead silence. Su Yiyan, who had been shocked by her brother's actions, couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. Pfft. After an unknown amount of time, Hu Qinhuan couldn't hold it in anymore and was the first to burst out laughing. When he laughed, Su Yiyan also seemed to wake up from a dream. She looked at her brother with an indescribable expression. Brother, what have you been through during this period of time? How could a good black sesame rice ball turn into a sand sculpture? Su Yuxuan saw his sister's disdain for him and almost laughed out of anger. Don't look at me like that. Aren't you the one who caused me to become like this? I caused you to become like this. Su Yiyan pointed at herself with a face full of shock. She felt as if a huge pot had flown down from the sky and smashed on her head. Now that things had come to this, Su Yuxuan felt like he had nothing left to lose. He crossed his arms over his chest and sneered, I don't know who it was that suddenly asked Mom to arrange a blind date for me. Now I have to go out and eat with strange women every 2 to 3 days. After seeing so many women, I finally understand the truth of a certain saying. A certain saying? What saying? When the forest is big, there are all kinds of birds. Su Yuxuan's face darkened as if he wanted to beat someone up. Do you know how many blind dates I've seen during this period of time? 20. On average, I've seen one every 2 days. Su Yuxuan gestured with his hands as he spoke. If these people were reliable, then it would be fine. It's a blind date. It's supposed to be a meeting to get to know each other. If you get along, then stay. If you don't, then leave. But they... What's wrong with them? Su Yiyan listened to Su Yuxuan's tearful complaints with a blank expression. Didn't her mother say that she would screen the candidates in advance before recommending them to her brother? Logically speaking, it shouldn't be too outrageous. Mom made the decision to let you go. Are you okay? Are you alright? Su Yuxuan was so angry that she laughed. Among the few that I've been in contact with recently, one of them told me that she has mental misophobia and believes in platonic marriage. She can't tolerate her husband's betrayal, whether it's mental or physical. So, for the sake of our future marriage, I must get a vasectomy before we get married. PFFF. These sisters are fierce. The other one was fine at first. As they chatted, she suddenly said that although her family was quite rich, that money belonged to her younger brother and had nothing to do with her. And when we get married in the future, she hopes that I will give her brother a share of our company as a betrothal gift. Help younger brother. Another one asked me directly. She's bisexual. After we get married, can she bring her regular lover over to live with us? If I'm interested, they wouldn't even mind having a threesome with me. Su Yiyan was stunned. Oh my God, isn't this too open-minded? Are young people these days so good at playing? Hua Chenhuan. PFFF, baby, you're still young. Don't make it sound like you're in your 70s or 80s. I don't want to say this, but brother, have you been tainted by something unclean? How did you meet such weirdos? As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Su Yuxuan's sharp glare flew over. Thinking that he was partly responsible for this matter, Su Yiyan laughed dryly and shut his mouth in embarrassment. Su Yuxuan still couldn't calm down after he finished speaking. He looked up at the sky and sighed. For the past month, I've been shouldering everything by myself. Chapter 795. Su Yiyan felt goosebumps all over her body when she heard his sad aria. But when she remembered that she was the one who brought it up first, Su Yiyan couldn't help but feel a little guilty. She coughed lightly and said, "You can tell Mom about this. Mom has already screened the blind dates for you, but it's inevitable that some fish will slip through the net. If you tell her, she'll know who to screen next time, and you'll suffer less." To be honest, Qing Shuqin couldn't be blamed for this. Except for the last one, if they didn't mention the first two, they might not have been able to find out. With Su Yuxuan's ex-girlfriend as an example, Qing Shuqin first investigated the other party's character. Strictly speaking, there was nothing wrong with mental cleanliness, but it was a little inhumane to ask Su Yuxuan to get a vasectomy. Although the sister-supporting demon was a little scary, it was also related to the other party's family environment. You could dislike it and be unwilling to jump into the pit, but you didn't have to be too critical. As for the last one, it wasn't something to be proud of in a rich family, so the family naturally took pains to hide it. But he didn't expect his daughter to be so honest and reveal it herself as soon as they met. He didn't know if it was because she was confident in her family background, or because she saw Su Yuxuan's gentle and honest appearance, but she felt that he was easy to bully. In the end, it could only be said that Su Yuxuan was too unlucky. There were such weirdos every year, but there were especially many this year, and he encountered all of them. Forget it. Su Yuxuan had already given up on treatment. Just treat it as a free social beating to accumulate experience. After seeing so many weirdos at once, he wouldn't be too surprised if he met any more idiots in the future. And after seeing so many women with strange ideas, his judgment of people would improve slightly in the future. He would treat it as a preparation for his discerning eyes to find his future wife. But if this situation continued, Su Yuxuan wasn't sure if he would go crazy first or become numb first. Let's not talk about this anymore. Since they've stood up for you, what are you going to do about the research institute? What else can I do? Su Yiyan chuckled. Of course, it's a cold dish. Therefore, not long after the two sides were in an uproar, Su Yiyan finally logged into the public account used for live streaming and posted a status. This was the first time Su Yiyan appeared in the eyes of her live stream viewers after 3 months. Yin-Yan's little kitchen, buy it or not. I've been busy feeding the baby recently, so I don't have time to play these schemes with you guys. As soon as this post came out, there was a mix of fans and haters. It was very noisy. The anti-fans thought that Su Yiyan was too arrogant, and the experts from the Chinese Medical Association had already concluded that she was creating hype. The things she took out were not as magical as she claimed, yet she still dared to sell medicines so blatantly. She did not care about human lives at all. The loyal audience in Su Yiyan's live streaming room was already overjoyed by the appearance of Yi Qiliang and the others. When they saw Su Yiyan's post, they instantly straightened their backs and quickly retorted. If you don't want your eyes, you can donate them. Thank you. What's with the Chinese Medical Association's experts? They're just unscrupulous businessmen who take advantage of their seniority. They feel that the host and the research institute threaten their interests, so they poured a basin of dirty water on her. It's really disgusting. Upstairs, why are you still shutting your eyes and criticizing her? Even if you don't ask us old viewers, you should ask the big boss's students if they agree. Chapter 796. Some people were even more straightforward. They simply went along with Su Yiyan's words and beat around the bush to criticize these keyboard warriors. I beg you not to buy it. I'm one of the earliest viewers of the streamer's live broadcast room. I've been in the streamer's live broadcast room for almost 2 years. I don't have a share in the lucky draw, and I can't get an appointment. Now, I finally have ready-made materials to buy. Although my culinary skills aren't that good, I really want to try the medicinal cuisine made by the streamer. When it's on the shelves, I beg you not to fight with me. Please save the child. +1. This is only the first batch, so it's definitely not a lot. I can already see the grand occasion of tens of millions of viewers in the streamer's live broadcast room fighting for a few medicinal cuisines. I beg you to keep your word. Don't buy it, please don't buy it. Give us, the old viewers, a chance to spend money. I've been saving money since I started watching the streamer's live broadcast. After saving for so long, my wallet can't wait. TSK, do I lack those few dollars? What I lack are those rare materials and the streamer's hands. I've already given up on something as difficult as frying fish, but stewing soup looks simple. I can still try it. I hope there won't be too many people fighting with me on the day of the sale. I want lotus seeds, red dates, motherwort. I really can't afford to hurt a baby who's in pain during her period. Please pre-sell it quickly. I'll buy until it explodes. The bold party is still waiting for the fleece flower. I went to the research institute to send a private message to the editor, Bao. They said that the cultivation has already begun, but it'll take at least 2 years for it to mature and be sold. I envy those who can buy it now. I can even send a private message to the editor of the research institute. No, I have to ask too. By the way, I'll ask when the public herbs will be available for pre-sale. In an instant, the viewers, who seemed to have their conception and governing vessels opened up, were too lazy to care about these keyboard warriors. They rushed to the public account of the Research Institute to harass the editor and ask when the medicinal herbs they were longing for would be available for sale. Some of Su Yiyan's haters, together with the paid posters hired by the Chinese Medical Association, seriously and conscientiously slandered him for a long time. In the end, they were mocked and ridiculed from all directions. In the end, they were completely ignored. They were so angry that they almost smashed the keyboard of their subordinates. Similarly, Yi Qiliang and the others were also deeply vexed. Right now, they were filled with regret. Very, very regret. Before they spoke up for Su Yiyan to the research institute, why didn't they think that they could actually wait for them to buy the first batch of medicinal herbs in the chaos before coming out to clear their names? In that case, there wouldn't be so many competitors. When they bought the herbs, they could directly popularize the herbs on their accounts. They could even test the ingredients of the herbs on the spot. Wouldn't that be more convincing? What a miscalculation. All of a sudden, the big shots who had called back countless competitors were regretting it so much that their intestines turned green. But that was just a thought. If they could do it all over again, they would probably still stand up. Everyone had preconceived notions. If they did not stand up for Su Yiyan at this time, no matter how much they said later, some people would stubbornly think that they had been bribed and were quibbling. Otherwise, why didn't he say anything at the beginning and only came out now that everything was calm? Was he trying to clear his name? Therefore, despite their heartache, Yi Qiliang and the others did not dwell on it for too long. They quickly composed themselves and contacted their students in the research institute. They hoped that these people would give them the green light to buy a few more medicinal herbs as teaching materials since they had taught them for a period of time. Chapter 797. Su Yiyan did not pay much attention to the subsequent storm on the internet. Just like the status she had posted, buy it or not, take it or leave it. She had only taken out those Chinese medicinal herbs in the hope that she could help some people in need while seeking refuge. After handing the herbs over to the research institute, Old Master Qing gave her a small research and planting factory in order to make the Chinese medicinal herb masters famous. The Chinese medicinal herbs that the Research Institute had announced to be produced were grown by this factory in cooperation with the Research Institute's technicians. Most of the people in this factory were Old Master Cheng's former subordinates and were trustworthy. After Su Yiyan took over the factory, she did not spend much time managing it. She only asked the people inside to cooperate with the Research Institute's technicians and plant the herbs well. She did not expect to make money from this. Opportunities had to be grasped by oneself. Just like how you could never wake up a person who was pretending to be asleep, you could never save a person who was determined to die. For Su Yiyan, those people who clamored not to buy the herbs did not affect her. There were so many people in the world, and there were always people who knew what was good for them. She would not lose anything. On the other hand, those who could have used these herbs to treat their illnesses would miss the opportunity to relieve their pain because of others' opinions. In this way, who would be at a disadvantage? Su Yiyan was not a saint, and she did not have the habit of raising ungrateful people. Those who believed in her would naturally believe her, and those who did not, she would not force them. She did not owe them anything. Su Yiyan had no intention of getting entangled with these people, but Hua Chenwan did not have such a good temper. After Yi Qiliang and the others jumped out to support the Research Institute and Su Yiyan, the Chinese Medical Association did not say anything and tried to pretend to be dead until the end. During this period, it was not that they did not hire fake reviewers to create momentum and categorize this matter as a private grudge within the Chinese Medical Association. Unfortunately, as soon as these fake reviewers posted their words, they were strangled to death by a large number of netizens who retaliated. They could not even make a splash. When the higher-ups of the Chinese Medical Association saw this, they did not dare to act rashly, especially those who spoke first. These people were used to having things go smoothly. They did not expect that they would be slapped in the face by their seniors when they were just suppressing a small-time online streamer. While they felt resentful, they were also inexplicably afraid that they would be used as a role model because of this matter. Because of this, even if everyone felt indignant, they didn't dare to do anything. They were as quiet as chickens, hoping that this matter would be resolved as soon as possible. However, they still underestimated someone's narrow-mindedness. Just when everyone thought that this matter was almost over, a well-known internet celebrity suddenly jumped out to expose the matter. He even reported the few old guys who first jumped out to smear Su Yiyan's reputation. In his own words, he had been eating melons happily recently. Out of curiosity, he looked into the background of the demon and ghost that started the rhythm at the beginning. He didn't expect to eat such a big piece of rotten melon. He felt that he couldn't be the only one who was disgusted, so he released this rotten melon. It was better for everyone to be disgusted than to be alone. It was a very infuriating statement, but it unexpectedly attracted a large crowd of onlookers. As a result, many people were disgusted when they heard this. F***ck, what the hell is this? Plagiarizing results, suppressing newcomers, harassing waitresses, embezzling public funds for kickbacks. What kind of demons and ghosts were these? It's so disgusting that I want to vomit. There were still people who said that they were very powerful and were the authoritative figures in the industry. They used these people's sarcastic words to smear our streamer. Does your face hurt now? These are the seniors that you admire. I think they're more like old beasts. Chapter 798. Suppressing newcomers and plagiarizing students' research results for their own. How can they be mentors? They're a disgrace to the academic world. I'm about to throw up. I've always thought that these old guys looked weird. They had white eyes and hooked noses. To put it bluntly, they had pointy mouths and monkey cheeks. Now that I've seen the video of them harassing and raping the waitress, I'm really going to throw up. What kind of scum are they? I didn't understand why Professor Yi and the others would suddenly withdraw from the association. Now that I've seen this, I finally understand. Fortunately, they withdrew. Otherwise, they might have been dragged down by this group of trash and vermin and lost their integrity in their later years. This Big V's revelation directly pushed the few people who pretended to be dead and the association to the forefront of the storm once again. Among the few people who were exposed, 3 of them were involved in academic fraud. They plagiarized students' research results and took them for themselves. These 3 people were indeed quite capable in their early years. Unfortunately, they had seen too much of the Hua world outside and were used to being flattered. They had long forgotten how they had worked their way up step by step. After years of sensual pleasures, how could they be expected to spend as much effort on academics as before and produce amazing research results? In order to protect their positions in the association, they began to take unconventional measures. They recruited talented students and took their research results for their own use to improve their reputation. With a good reputation, they would attract more talented students. They would have more and better targets to suck blood from. There would be an endless stream of them. A great man once said, when the profit reaches 10%, they'll be tempted. When the profit reaches 50%, they'll take the risk. When the profit reaches 100%, they'll dare to trample all the laws of the world. When the profit reaches 300%, they'll dare to risk being hanged. It seemed exaggerated, but that was the reality. It was a bloody reality that buried countless rotten bones. At first, they were still a little anxious. It was not because they felt guilty toward those students, but because they were worried that this matter would be exposed and affect their reputation and future. However, they gradually stopped being afraid because those students' foundation was not as good as theirs. They could only swallow their grievances helplessly. After a few times, they began to become unscrupulous and even took it for granted. Needless to say, the 2 of them had harassed the waitress before, so they didn't take it seriously at all. In this world, the protection of girls was not comprehensive. In their opinion, if this kind of thing were to spread out, the girls would still be the ones to suffer. So what if a man was a little flirtatious? Who knows, there might even be some D**ck cancer who would turn around and scold the girl for being shameless and seducing him on purpose. After all, some straight men even thought that a girl wearing a slightly shorter skirt was a sexual hint. In the end, the one who embezzled public funds and took kickbacks was because he was related to the current president of the association. Originally, his ability was not enough to enter the association, but because of his nepotism, he was accepted as an exception. For this reason, he often used the chicken steak as a token of authority and used this relationship to bully the newcomers, seeking benefits for himself. The president might not know about the commission, but the fact that the two of them were relatives was enough for people to pin the blame on him. After all, this person's existence was evidence of him abusing his power for personal gain. It was not wrong to be implicated by him now. Chapter 799. Yi Qiliang and the others did not expect there to be a follow-up to this incident. After carefully reading the news, they were inevitably shocked. Preposterous. Preposterous. These people are really rotten to the core. The other people's faces did not look good either. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that they stole a student's research results made everyone present feel disgusted. These people were all involved in academia and research, so they naturally knew how much hard work and effort it took to complete a research project. In the end, everything they had done was taken away, and all their efforts were in vain. This feeling was like a child that they had been carrying for 10 months and raising for many years was suddenly abducted by human traffickers one day. The child was then crowned with someone else's surname and became someone else's child. Unfortunately, they were not as rich and powerful as the other party. They did not even have the confidence to get their child back. They could only watch their child acknowledge the thief as his father. Although we shouldn't wash our dirty linen in public, this is no longer just a dirty linen. Look at this. One of the old professors sighed and pointed at the people who had suddenly jumped out in a few minutes to prove that the news was true. Skipping over the emotional parties, who looked as if they had gotten their revenge, one of the non-parties who leaked the information attracted a lot of attention. This informant claimed to have grown up with one of the people whose research results had been stolen. They used to be schoolmates. He accurately said that his friend's research was plagiarized back then and posted some of the original manuscript online to prove that the research was indeed the result of his friend's own research. Onlookers loved this kind of news the most. It was satisfying and not tiring. However, there were also people who wondered why he was the one who posted these things instead of the person involved. The other party quickly replied, because he is no longer in this world. The hearts of the onlookers suddenly trembled. Then, without needing to be urged, the person spontaneously told the tragic truth behind this plagiarism. It turned out that his friend's mother had died early, and his father had raised him single-handedly. He was also promising and had been admitted to a good school with his own ability. Before he graduated, he was taken into a research lab under one of the 3 old guys. The people around him envied him and felt that he had a promising future with such a backer. At first, he felt that he was very lucky. However, just as he was about to graduate and his research was about to bear fruit, his father suddenly fell seriously ill and needed a large sum of money for treatment. At that time, his friend had tried his best to produce results because only then could he get the money to treat his father, prove his ability, and find a good job to support the family. It was easy to imagine what would happen in the end. The results that he had worked so hard for were snatched away by his mentor. The reputation that he deserved and the money that could save his life, he didn't get any of it. His father didn't have enough money to pay for his treatment and passed away soon after. Not only that, but someone was worried that he would make a scene because of this matter, so he deliberately framed him with the crime of theft, leaving a black mark on his file so that no company would be willing to hire him. After a series of blows, the person involved was completely disheartened. In the end, she walked the path of despair and committed suicide by jumping off a building in her most beautiful years. Chapter 800. Other than the people in the industry who had a deep understanding of the situation, most of the netizens only treated it as an interesting piece of news. Now that they suddenly discovered that this piece of news involved human lives, these people no longer dared to treat it as an interesting and insignificant piece of news. Of course, it was not that no one questioned why such a terrible thing was not exposed back then and only revealed now. The other party also quickly replied, back then, someone covered the sky with one hand and the victims had no way to appeal. Now that someone has finally self-destructed, I'll feel uneasy if I don't take this opportunity to seek justice for the dead. It was reasonable, and well-founded, causing a commotion. After that, another person revealed that the two old men who harassed the waitress did not only harass this girl. There was once a victim upstairs. The girl's parents wanted to seek justice for the girl, but in the end, they were slandered for deliberately seducing a married man. The people around did not know the truth and pointed fingers at the girl, forcing the girl to go insane and cut her wrists at home. Although they were rescued later, the whole family had moved away. They didn't know what was going on now. They originally thought that it was just a moral dispute, but it suddenly involved fate. With these two typical examples, the netizens were furious. The higher-ups also quickly noticed this matter and quickly set up an investigation team to investigate. In the end, the vines were pulled out along with the melons. One melon after another was dug out. The incident was so big that it shocked the entire industry. The president of the medical association and those people still did not understand until they were arrested. They were just suppressing an unknown internet celebrity. How did they get themselves implicated? Yi Qiliang and the others watched helplessly as the melon rolled from a small one to a huge one. It fell and crushed a group of people to death. How did this happen? I heard from a student who has some connections in the investigation department that the news is basically true. One of the old professors shook his head and said sadly, I can only say that God is watching what people do. It's not that the karma won't come, it's just that it's not time yet. A relatively younger professor on the side frowned and looked inquisitive. I think someone is behind this. Otherwise, it wouldn't have caused such a big commotion. Yi Qiliang smiled and said, what does it matter if someone is behind this? As long as these things were true, it was fine. Hiding these rotten scars would only make them worse. He should take advantage of this opportunity to dig them out. Only when you grow new flesh can you improve. The people beside him looked at each other and seemed to have sensed something. From what you've said, you seem to know something. Yi Qiliang didn't refute. He smiled and said, that little teacher of ours has a good temper and doesn't like to fuss. But the one in her family is someone who dotes on people. Although Yi Qiliang had only met Hu Qinhuan a few times, he could tell that he cared a lot about Su Yiyan. His wife had painstakingly given birth to the child and was in the middle of her confinement period. How could he tolerate that? Everyone was not stupid. They immediately thought of the man who had personally come to the school to pick up Su Yiyan. They had also seen him from afar. You mean? Yi Qiliang did not answer directly. He only smiled and said, it's good to dote on someone. Only those who know how to dote on someone will know how to protect them. Chapter 801. Su Yiyan went offline after she posted that post, so she did not see the chaos that followed. What she posted at that time was not considered a lie. She was about to finish her confinement and was busy preparing for her baby's full moon celebration. Hu Qinhuan remembered the doctor's words and did not stop her from doing these things. She only asked the family to cooperate with her and not let her be too tired. Previously, the background for little Kanji's full moon celebration was the azure blue of the sea. Su Yiyan wanted to give her baby a party that was different from others, so she naturally did not choose this color. After thinking about it, she finally decided to use bright yellow as the main color, which was just right for his name. The venue for the full moon celebration was a hotel under Jing Qinyang's name. This hotel was transferred to the little guy's name when he was born. Before he came of age, it was temporarily under Su Yiyan's care. In Jing Qinyang's words, he had nothing in his hands except for these properties. Since the little guy called him granduncle, as an elder, it was not strange for him to give the younger generation a greeting gift in advance. Su Yiyan. This family's habit of giving gifts to each other was really in the same vein. Many people were invited to the banquet. In addition to the relatives and friends of the Hua and Su families, Wu Qinhuan also kept her promise and invited all the employees in the company to join in the fun. Naturally, the employees of Su Yiyan's restaurant and the chefs of Wu Qinhuan's family were in charge of the food for the full moon celebration. Considering that there were too many people coming, they decided to use a buffet style and prepare in advance so that they could make up for it at any time. When the employees of Wu Qinhuan's company found out about it, they spontaneously gave a big red packet to the baby as a congratulatory gift. However, in the end, they basically returned it and only took 6 yuan as a courtesy. Just like that, other people's banquets were filled with toasts, groups of 2s and 3s chatting, hitting on each other, and probing each other. However, at Su Yiyan's banquet, a large group of people walked around as if nothing had happened, eating and eating. Occasionally, there would be a few people who would accidentally take a fancy to the same food as the other party. The man and woman who had taken the same piece of cake froze on the spot and looked at each other in surprise. The girl blinked and looked at the tall and handsome stranger in front of her. She asked tentatively, "You want to eat this too?" "Yes. I'll give it to you then." The girl was too embarrassed to argue with him. After saying that, she sheepishly took back the tongs and prepared to find something else to eat. The man stared at her for a while. Suddenly, he picked up the pastry with a pair of tongs and placed it on the girl's plate. You eat it. Compared with this, I actually prefer to eat this." The man smiled at her and reached for the sandwich biscuit on the other side. The girl was shaken by the man's smile. She blushed and said, "Actually, I like to eat this too." "Really? What flavor do you like?" "I like strawberry." "What a coincidence, I also like strawberry flavor." "Nice to meet you, my name is..." "Oh, hello, my name is..." The same situation happened in every corner of the banquet. It meant that something wonderful was sprouting. All the relatives and friends that Su Yiyan could invite were basically here. In addition, a certain person who had disappeared after her and Wu Qinhuan's wedding was also here. Chapter 802. Su Yiyan saw Su Yuding coming in from a distance. Her eyes lit up, and she trotted over with the child in her arms. "You're always so surprised." Su Yuding saw Su Yiyan coming over and hurried over to help her hold the child in her arms. "This must be little Xingxing. This little chubby face is so cute, and his facial features are so beautiful." The little guy in Su Yiyan's arms opened his big black grape-like eyes, as if he heard his great-aunt praising him. His little hands moved around and cried out. It seems that the little guy likes his aunt very much. "I like the little guy too." As Su Yuding spoke, she excitedly took out a delicate little box and said, "Baby, come and see what little gift I brought for you." Su Yuding brought a piece of jade for the little guy. Judging from its color, one could tell that it was valuable. Jade could nourish people. Su Yuding gave this thing in the hope that the little guy could grow up safely and healthily. Su Yiyan did not refuse and took it with a smile. "Then I'll thank you on behalf of the baby, aunt." Su Yuding looked at the little boy in Su Yiyan's arms and was really envious. "It's inconvenient for you to carry things. Let me help you carry him." Su Yiyan saw through her thoughts at a glance, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. "Sure, this little guy is very heavy. My hands are sore from carrying him." The little chubby baby was almost 8 kilograms when he was born. After a month of careful feeding, his weight had increased. Su Yiyan now felt strained to carry him for a little longer. The little guy was still silly and not afraid of strangers. After being carried by Su Yuding, he rolled his eyes and was full of curiosity. Su Yuding had not seen such a small child for a long time, and her heart softened. After greeting the guests, Mr. Su and the others also noticed Su Yiyan's movement. They came over and asked in surprise, "Little Ting, when did you come back?" "Just arrived." Mr. Su heard her words and could not help but feel a little emotional. His sister came and went in a hurry these years. The family had not sat down and talked for a long time. "Do you want to stay at home for a while this time?" "You?" "Yes. You've been traveling for a long time. You're not young anymore. It's time for you to settle down." Mr. Su tried his best to persuade Su Yuding before he realized what she had said. "What did you just say?" "You agreed." Su Yuding smiled and nodded. "I came back this time to rest for a while. I won't be leaving." "You've thought it through." Mr. Su was pleasantly surprised. Su Yiyan and Qing Shiqin were also surprised. After the initial shock, he felt somewhat gratified. "It's good that you've thought it through. It's good that you've thought it through." The reason why Su Yuding had been drifting outside these days was mainly because of her sensitive identity. She was adopted by the Su family. After the two elders of the Su family passed away, her position was a little awkward. It was fine when he was studying. Most of the time, he lived in the dormitory. After graduation, he had to go home. After a long time, some people outside with dirty mouths always liked to use her identity to gossip about her. Su Yuding heard a lot of rumors. She did not want her family to be troubled by these rotten things, so she used the excuse of traveling. These years, she had been drifting outside and rarely came back. Now that she was finally willing to stay, didn't she think it through? Su Yuding looked at her few relatives in the world and dropped another bomb with a smile. "Brother, sister-in-law, I'm going to get married." Chapter 803. What? Su Yuding's words were like a sudden clap of thunder. Everyone was confused and screamed out loud. Especially Su Yuding's father. The eldest brother was her father, and the eldest sister-in-law was her mother. After the two elders of the Su family passed away, he and Qing Shiqi naturally became Su Yuding's temporary guardians. In their eyes, Su Yuding was no different from Su Yuxuan and his sister. Su Yuding was 35 years old this year. It was reasonable to say that she should find someone she liked. But the point was that she had always believed in the principle of not getting married. She had been alone all these years, and they had never heard of her having anyone around her. Now that she finally came home, she directly skipped dating and said that she was going to get married. The first reaction of Su Yuding's father and the others was that their sister, aunt, must have been deceived by a stinky man outside. Su Yuding had no idea that she had become a fool in her family's eyes. Facing everyone's surprised eyes, Su Yuding said sweetly, "You didn't hear wrong. I'm going to get married. So soon. Ting, you weren't deceived by. Right?" Before Su Yuding's father could finish, Qing Shiqin pulled him behind him. "Your brother means that we are all very happy that you found someone you like. But isn't it a bit too soon to say that you're going to get married as soon as you come back? After all, we haven't seen you, your boyfriend." Su Yuding knew what they were worried about. She opened her mouth and was about to explain when she saw a familiar figure coming in from outside. Su Yuding's eyes lit up slightly, and she waved at the person. The few of them saw her actions and subconsciously followed her gaze. They saw a man who looked to be about the same age as Su Yuding. He was tall and strong, and he looked quite simple and honest as he walked towards them. As soon as the man came closer, Su Yuding took the initiative to hold his hand and introduced him to them. Brother, sister-in-law, this is my boyfriend, Du Jingshan. Du Jingshan looked at the two and smiled foolishly. Brother, sister-in-law, hello. I'm Du Jingshan, Tingting's boyfriend. Everyone in the Su family. This man didn't look very smart. However, one could know a person's face but not his heart. A liar wouldn't write the word liar on his forehead. A man like Du Jingshan who looked very deceiving needed extra attention. Maybe their sister, aunt, was confused by his appearance. Thinking of this, Su's father and the others looked at Du Jingshan's eyes became more vigilant. Did you come here together? You guys were together when you were abroad. Yes, we were together, and we came here together today. He went to find a parking space just now. I was anxious to see Yen Yen and the babies, so I came in first. Of the Sus of the Su families of their eyes of their of the eyes of love of their eyes. Of the head of the of the head of the of the head of the head of the ofs. Of this of the heads of the head of the of Su Yiyen had already brought the child back. Seeing her father's angry face, she was afraid that he would get angry on the spot, so she quickly helped to mediate. Cough. Dad, Mom, Auntie, let's find a place to sit down and talk. There are too many people here. Su Yuding and the others then remembered that they were still at the banquet. It was indeed not a good place to talk with people coming and going. Su's father temporarily suppressed the anger in his heart and a lot of questions, and asked his daughter to help find a suitable place for them to talk. If he didn't clear up this matter today, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. Chapter 804. The hotel they were in was originally Jing Qinyang's property, and now it was temporarily transferred to Su Yiyen's name. It wasn't difficult for them to find a private room where they could have a conversation. Soon, the hotel staff helped them clear out a large private room and led them there. Hua Chenhuan was greeting the Lan family and did not come over immediately. Now that he heard that Su Yiyen had specially booked a small private room, he was puzzled but still came over. When Su Yiyen saw him, she immediately lowered her voice and took the initiative to share the current situation with him. Auntie has a boyfriend, and she said she wants to get married as soon as she came back. My dad's face darkened. I think my future brother-in-law will have a hard time today. After listening to his wife's explanation, Hua Chenhuan's eyes were also a little surprised. He had only met Su Yuding once when he married Su Yiyen. His impression of her was that she was a very energetic and opinionated woman. Su Yiyen had mentioned to him before that her auntie did not believe in marriage. Now that she suddenly said she wanted to get married, it was inevitable that he would be surprised. However, from Hua Chenhuan's impression of her, it was not impossible for Su Yuding to do this. As soon as they sat down, Father Su looked like he was interrogating a criminal. With a cold face, he asked several questions like a machine gun. Tell me, how did you meet? When did you start dating? How long have you been together? Who was the one who pursued who? Pfft. Su Yuding burst out laughing and said helplessly, Brother, you asked too many questions this time. Which one do you want him to answer first? Father Su glared at his sister and did not compromise. Answer carefully, don't leave out any of them. Brother, Father Su glared at her. Did I ask you? Let him say it himself. Su Yuding wanted to say something but was stopped by Du Jingshan, who smiled good-naturedly. I took the initiative to pursue Tingting. We first met in a city. At that time, Tingting went to the flower shop to buy flowers and bumped into me. I fell in love with her at first sight. Wait a minute, Qing Shuqin heard this and hurriedly interrupted him. You said you met Tingting in a city. Then aren't you? Su Yuding was a little embarrassed. Actually, He has been pursuing me for almost 7 years. 7 years. Everyone in the room was shocked again. Why didn't we know anything about it? Su Yuding averted her gaze, feeling guilty for some reason. If I don't tell you, how would you know? The few of them choked, feeling stifled and depressed. There was also a sadness of being excluded. On the contrary, Su Yayan was quite curious about the relationship between the two. She smiled faintly and asked, "Auntie, you've been running around for the past few years, and he's been chasing you for 7 years. Does that mean he's also running around with you?" Yeah. When Mr. Su and the others heard this, they couldn't sit still. A grown man who didn't have a good career and was running around chasing after a beautiful girl. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't sound reliable. What do you do? Du Jingshan subconsciously glanced at Su Yuding and said truthfully, I was a venture capitalist in my early years. Later, I made some money and bought an island by myself. Ahem, he bought a deserted island that no one wanted. The initial transaction was not big. But I didn't expect that after he bought it, he started to develop it. Not long after, he dug out a huge diamond mine on the island. That mine alone is enough to buy a few more islands like that. Everyone. Buying a deserted island and digging out a diamond mine. Was this the legendary, fortune favors fools? Chapter 805. Du Jingshan, who was really rich, touched his head embarrassedly and giggled. I've been lucky since I was a child, and I rarely fail in the things I invest in. Buying an island has been my dream since I was a child, but I didn't expect such a surprise after buying it. Su Yiyen and the others. Is this guy the legendary European king? Cough, besides this island, do you have any other industries? Brother. Su Yuding was a little dissatisfied with her brother asking these questions as if he was checking her account. Du Jingshan could understand that he was worried that his sister would suffer with him, so he wanted to know more about his family situation. I have a lot of industries under my name, and they are a little scattered. Most of them are my private investments. Du Jingshan roughly explained his family situation. His parents were still alive, but they had divorced in their early years and had their own small families. Generally, they wouldn't contact him. As for the businesses under his name, they were really many and scattered. Most of them were from his early investments. He hadn't been very diligent in managing them over the years, but he had been able to maintain a basic profit and accumulate a large amount of wealth for him. It was fine if Du Jingshan didn't say it, but after he said it, the few people present couldn't help but feel a little jealous. Sure enough, comparisons were odious. They had worked hard for decades, but they didn't earn as much as he casually invested everywhere. At this moment, everyone felt the crushing pressure from the European king, and they felt jealous on the spot. Father Su opened his mouth and just wanted to say something, but Du Jingshan had already giggled very sensibly. I like investing, but I don't know how to manage it. So, after I get married to Tingting, I'm going to transfer all these industries to Tingting and let her help me manage them. As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned again, especially the few girls present. They all cast him a look of admiration at the same time. Wow, this young man is quite sensible. He even knows to take the initiative to hand over his salary after marriage. In fact, when a girl cares about your little treasury, it may not be because she covets your money, but because she enjoys the care that you put in the tip of your heart. At least on this point, Du Jingshan passed the test. Just like Su Yuding, she was usually a very strong and independent person. When she heard Du Jingshan say that in front of so many people, her face couldn't help but reveal a little girl's shyness and sweetness. Su Yiyen, on the other hand, subconsciously glanced at Du Jingshan. She felt that compared to Wen Jingping and Hua Xiaofeng, this man in front of her was more like the son of heaven. He had the constitution of a koi fish. Putting aside the fact that he could earn money from whatever he invested in, the most important thing was that he didn't look like a bad person and had perseverance. He didn't know how to play tricks and snatch, and he wasn't like Hu Xiaofeng, who said that he liked you, but in fact, he never put you in the same position as him in his heart. If he didn't even show the least bit of respect, how could he gain the respect of others? Mr. Su choked. He really couldn't find fault with the person in front of him. He could only frown and ask, "You gave all your assets to Tingting. Aren't you afraid that she'll hold on to them and refuse to give them to you? If that's the case, you won't be able to invest whatever you want in the future." "I'm not afraid." Du Jingshan smiled foolishly, with a sweet look on his face as if he had already thought about their future. "If I really want to invest in something, I'll discuss it with Tingting. If it's reliable, I believe she'll understand. If it's not reliable, I'll have some time to cool down and not go out and spend money." Chapter 806. Du Jingshan couldn't help but touch his head again, which seemed to have become his habit when he was nervous. "I admit that I have some luck, but people say that the amount of good luck a person can have in his life is fixed. No one knows how long my good luck will last." Du Jingshan couldn't help but turn to look at Su Yuting. "In the past, I was full and the whole family wasn't hungry. Now that I want to build a small family with Tingting, it's not enough to rely on these illusory things. It's best to work hard to make money. I won't let Tingting and our future children suffer." After hearing this, Mr. Su silently crossed out his initial impression of this person and added, "He's simple and honest, but he's not a fool. He knows how to take care of his wife and children." "Not bad." When Qing Shuqin saw that her husband's expression had eased up, she knew that he didn't reject this future brother-in-law as much as before. Her lips curled up as she asked curiously, "You said that he pursued you for 7 years. When did you two officially get together?" The person who answered this question was not Du Jingshan, but Su Yuting. "In fact, it hasn't been that long, just this year. To be precise, it was after attending the wedding of Su Yiyan and Hu Chenhuan. When Su Yuting learned that her favorite niece was going to marry a wheelchair-bound disabled person, she, like most people, thought that Su Yiyan was just angry. But when she went to the wedding in person and saw the interaction between the two, all the original imagination was overturned. Two people who really loved each other, no matter how hard they tried to hide it, they couldn't fool everyone. But because she saw that they really loved each other, Su Yuting became more and more confused. Why did her niece, who was almost spoiled by the whole family since childhood, fall in love with a man who couldn't even walk by himself? This doubt rose to the top after meeting Du Jingshan again. "What do you like about me?" Du Jingshan was stunned. He didn't expect Su Yuting to suddenly ask him this. He smiled embarrassedly and said, "I can't tell. The first time I saw you, there was a voice in my heart telling me that this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life. That's it. Of course it's not just that. At first, I only had a good impression of you. But the more I interact with you, the more certain I am that you are the other half that I want. I have a bad temper, I'm not particularly beautiful, and I don't know how to do housework. I have a lot of shortcomings. You can throw a tantrum at me if you're unhappy. In my eyes, you're the prettiest. You don't have to do the housework. I can do it. If you think I'm not good enough, you can hire a nanny. I'll learn." After Du Jingshan finished speaking, he pursed his lips, as if he was a little annoyed with his clumsy tongue. He wanted to praise someone, but he couldn't come up with anything. "Anyway, no matter how good other people are, I don't like them. No matter how many flaws you have, I like you." It was this sentence that made Su Yuting's heart tremble. For the first time, she found that there was such a person who only had eyes for her. It did not seem to be a bad thing. When it came to feelings, as long as the window paper was pierced through, success would naturally follow naturally. Su Yuding let go of her heart that had always been in front of Du Jingshan, and the relationship between the two gradually changed subtly. This change was so small that Su Yuding didn't notice it at first, until Du Jingshan didn't appear in front of her for 2 consecutive days. Chapter 807. This was something that had never happened between the two of them ever since they met. In the past, even when she went out for a trip, Du Jingshan would follow her from a distance. He was like a guardian, carefully protecting his goddess, but he didn't dare to approach her because he was afraid of offending her. He always made sure that she could see his figure whenever she turned her head without disturbing her. Su Yuding used to feel annoyed and impatient about this, but now she felt a sense of loss. She even thought that he was tired and didn't want to continue, or that he had a new person he liked. It wasn't until that moment that she realized that she had been used to someone following her, and used to seeing him every time she turned around. Unfortunately, it was too late. Su Yuding was a little depressed when she found out that she had fallen in love with someone. Early the next morning, she was planning to go to the next tourist destination to forget this ignorant relationship that had ended before it started. However, she saw someone standing at the door of the hotel with one hand in a plaster and a large bouquet of flowers in the other hand. Yuding, happy birthday. Later on, she found out that a certain someone wanted to give her a surprise for her birthday. He specially rented a place nearby and personally decorated it. As a result, he accidentally fell from the ladder and broke his hand. This was also the reason why he didn't show up yesterday. The hesitation in Su Yuding's heart completely collapsed at this moment. She took the bouquet from Du Jingshan and her eyes turned red on the spot. Seeing this, the silly man was very anxious. He walked around Su Yuding for a long time, trying to comfort her, but because of his clumsy mouth, he only said a few words, which made his face turn red. Su Yuding couldn't help but step forward, directly hugged Du Jingshan's neck, and whispered, "Fool." Du Jingshan was frozen. Before he had time to be happy that he was hugged by his goddess, he heard the word "fool," and the light in his eyes suddenly dimmed. But then he heard the second half of Su Yuding's words, "Let's be together." Du Jingshan was stunned. "What?" "I said let's be together." You say it again." "Let's be together." You. Du Jingshan let go of Su Yuding. His lips trembled slightly. His eyes were full of expectation, but he was also afraid that this was just a dream. Su Yuding looked at him and smiled through her tears. She pretended to be angry and said, "If you don't want to be with me, just pretend that I didn't say anything." No. Du Jingshan snapped out of his daze. "I'm just too happy. Too happy. Can I hug you?" Su Yuding was almost amused by him. She couldn't believe that he had to ask for her permission in advance. "Sure." Du Jingshan's eyes lit up and he immediately picked Su Yuding up. Cough, he spun her around like a child. Su Yuding recalled the scene at that time, and her eyes softened. Mr. Su saw the change in his sister's expression and knew that there was no turning back. He sighed and said seriously, "Have you thought it through?" "Yes." Su Yuding held Du Jingshan's hand tightly and smiled at him. "I want to marry him." This man who had loved her so foolishly for so many years, she was afraid that she would only meet one such man in her entire life. She wanted to keep him firmly by her side and not give him to anyone else. Chapter 808. Okay. After knowing what they needed to know, Qing Shiqin tugged at her husband's sleeve. "Yuding's love is the most important thing. And I think Yuding has good taste. Little Du is quite good. He has pursued Yuding for so long, which shows that he is a sentimental person. Now, the most important thing is to take good care of Yuding in the future. Pfft. Su Yiyan heard this and had a hard time holding back his laughter. Mom, how could you call such a big guy who is 1.8 meters tall and as strong as a bull little do? As if sensing Su Yiyan's emotions, little Xingxing also cried out. Qing Shuqin thought that he was echoing her, so she immediately laughed and teased him. Baby, you think so too, right? Aw, aw, aw. Little Xingxing saw that his grandmother was talking to him, so he cried even more loudly. Mr. Su wasn't as angry as before. His wife gave him a way out, so he didn't struggle much. All right. You make it sound like I'm the bad guy who's trying to break up a couple. You're not young anymore. You should know what you're doing. After that, he turned to Du Jingshan and said, You look quite honest. I hope you are. I only have one sister. If you dare to bully her, I will never let you go. No. Du Jingshan hurriedly said, I will treat Tingting well. I will not let anyone bully her. Brother, please rest assured. That better be the case. Mr. Su did not refute the way Du Jingshan called him, which meant that he agreed to the marriage. Su Yuding and Du Jingshan looked at each other and said cheerfully, Thank you, brother. What are you thanking me for? You chose it yourself. As long as you don't regret it. After Su Yuding and Du Jingshan talked about the matter, the atmosphere between them was not as serious as before. As the hosts of the banquet, Su Yiyan and Du Jingshan could not leave for long. A group of people quickly left the small private room and went to find the people from the Qing and Lan families. Hua Qinhuan's short absence made the two families sit together by coincidence. Because Su Yiyan had casually mentioned Qin Shuiru's pregnancy when they were in the Lan family, the two families quickly became familiar with each other. Qing Juanhao and his wife, as well as Lan Minghan and his wife, brought their children over today. The Lan family's baby was 2 to 3 months younger than Little Porridge. He was also a boy. Is this your Bao Bao? He looked really sturdy. Previously, when young aunt came to our house, she mentioned that her aunt was also pregnant. She also shared with me many things that pregnant women should pay attention to. She said that she heard it from you. At that time, I really wanted to meet you. Qin Shuiru did not expect such a reason. Her expression softened. I'm old. When I was pregnant with this child, my family was more nervous. Your baby looks so good. He's white and chubby, pink and tender. He's not like our baby, who's so black like a charcoal bowl. The little guy from the Lan family rarely went out. His little face was round and white. Compared to Little Porridge, who was brought out to show off every day by his grandfather, who had become a charcoal ball under the sun, they were the polar opposite. At this moment, the little guy was staring at Little Porridge without blinking. He seemed to be wondering why this baby, who was about the same age as him, was so black. When old Master Qing heard his daughter-in-law's words, he was not convinced. So what if he's black? It's healthy to be black. Yan Yan was much darker than him when he was young. Su Yiyan, who had just walked closer with the baby in her arms, heard this. Grandpa, can you not sentence me in public so easily? Give your granddaughter some face. Chapter 809. Old Master Chang's words made everyone laugh. Su Yiyan's mouth twitched slightly. Seeing that everyone was so happy, he didn't say anything in the end. In addition to these three families, Su Yiyan also sent an invitation to Ling Xiaoqi. It was just that Ling Xiaoqi came relatively late, and beside her was a flower protector. When Su Yiyan saw the two of them appear together, he was stunned. He sized them up and said jokingly, "You're here to attend my son's 1-month-old banquet with your family?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression froze, and then her face turned red. She stomped her feet anxiously and said, Yi Yan, what nonsense are you talking about? What family? We're not. Not what? Ling Xiaoqi choked and stole a glance at Ning Xiyuan. It's not what you think. Oh. Su Yiyan nodded perfunctorily and changed the topic. If it's not what I think, then what is it? Ling Xiaoqi pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Ning Xiyuan's lips curved slightly, and he stood up to smooth things over for her. Miss Su, don't make fun of us. Miss Ling and I met on the way, and it happened to be on the way, so we came together. Su Yiyan raised his eyebrows. On the way. Su Yiyan had been to the Ning family before, and Su Yiyan also knew where Ling Xiaoqi was staying now. The two places were in two completely different directions. On the way. Like hell, I'll believe you. However, considering that Ling Xiaoqi was thin-skinned, he might really anger her if he continued to tease her. It's indeed not safe for a girl like Xiaoqi to come out at night. I feel much more at ease now that President Ning can send her here on the way. Thank you. Miss Su, you're too polite. It's just a small matter. The two of them looked at each other with a tacit understanding and laughed. Just then, Hua Chenhuan came over. Su Yiyan stuffed her baby into his arms and said in a low voice, I'm going to the bathroom. You take the baby and greet them. I'll be back soon. Hua Chenhuan furrowed her eyebrows and said worriedly, Me too, you want to go too? Before Hua Chenhuan could say anything, Ling Xiaoqi, who had been eavesdropping, spoke first with a subtle expression, Are you too serious? You even have to go to the bathroom together. So, are you going to the men's room or the women's room? As soon as these words were spoken, the guests' gazes were all focused on Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan, Hua Chenhuan, Su Yiyan blushed and coughed softly. We're just going to the bathroom. This is Uncle's territory. Nothing will happen. Hua Chenhuan was silent for a moment before compromising. Come back early. Okay. As soon as Su Yiyan left, Zai Zai immediately waved his little hands and cried out. And with his cry, everyone realized that this 1-month-old baby was being held in Hua Chenhuan's arms. Damn, the boss is holding the little prince. Isn't the point the boss's standard posture of holding a baby? It's obvious that he often holds the baby at home. Maybe he even helped change the baby's diapers. It's not impossible if you think about it carefully. With how much the boss cares about Madam, he definitely doesn't want Madam to be tired from taking care of the baby. Shouldn't he help? Are you stupid? It's not like the boss doesn't have a nanny at home. Why would he need Madam to take care of the baby? How tired can she be? Then explain why the boss's posture of holding the baby is so skillful. Chapter 8:10. She was met with a long silence. After some time, someone covered his face and wailed softly. The domineering CEO turned into a virtuous stay-at-home dad in a second. This is too much of a shock. I need to calm down. Ning Xiyuan also needed to calm down. Ling Xiaoqi had visited the family Hua many times during Su Yiyan's confinement period, so she was used to seeing Hua Chenhuan with a baby. This was the first time Ning Xiyuan had seen it. His gaze drifted to the child. He happened to see Hua Chenhuan looking down at Zai Zai in his arms. The father and son looked at each other, and the atmosphere was a little tense. If it had been anyone else, they would have cried when they saw Hua Chenhuan's cold face. However, the little guy seemed to be very happy. He waved his arms and babbled. Hua Chenhuan didn't know what he was saying. He shook him twice symbolically and asked with a serious face, Are you hungry? Or do you want to pee? Ning Siyuan. Wake up. He's only a month old. He cries when he's hungry or peeing. Do you think he needs to tell you in advance? The employees who were gathered together and whispering not far away had already recovered from the initial shock. Once they accepted Hu Chenhuan's stay-at-home dad's side, their feelings towards their big boss instantly became complicated. On one hand, they felt that this was definitely not the domineering big boss who could stop children from crying at night. On the other hand, they felt that this big boss was too down-to-earth. They were in the same world and had the same father. No matter who you were, you had to feed your child and change his diapers when you became a stay-at-home dad. There were even a few people who were thinking rebelliously, "Little prince, give me a piss. I want to see the big boss change the little prince's diapers." A few female employees were mesmerized by Su Yiyan's baby's beauty. They were itching to take a few photos of the baby. Hu Chenhuan was holding Zai Zai. Father and son were in the same frame. To them, this was a scene from the heavens. His claws were restless, and he wanted to take out his phone to take a picture of this scene. However, he did not forget the identity of these two people and did not dare to act rashly. On the other hand, Yu Zian and the other two didn't have as many concerns. After being stunned for a while, the three of them decisively turned their cameras to Hu Chenhuan and started recording a short video. This extremely contrasting scene had to be recorded and stored properly. If Hu Chenhuan left them to work overtime in the future, they could take out this video and watch it. It would also be a consolation. As for whether he would be held accountable by Hu Chenhuan, in a while, they would pass a copy of this to young madam. With young madam around, no matter how angry young master was, he wouldn't do anything to them. They were really clever. Su Yiyan, who had no idea that she had become a scapegoat, couldn't wait to go back to see the little brat after going to the bathroom. In her anxiety, she did not notice that there was someone in the corridor outside the bathroom. One ran out, and the other walked in. The two of them inevitably bumped into each other. Su Yiyan screamed and subconsciously leaned back. She thought that she was going to fall to the ground this time, but an excessively white hand suddenly reached out and accurately grabbed her wrist, forcibly pulling her back. Su Yiyan steadied herself and patted her chest with lingering fear. She didn't come back to her senses for a long time, until, "Are you okay?" Su Yiyan finally remembered the person who bumped into her. She looked up and narrowed her eyes. "You..." Before she could finish speaking, she seemed to have realized something. Her face suddenly darkened. Damn it, this guy was still holding her hand and not letting go. Chapter 8:11. The man's hand was very cold, so cold that it was not the temperature that a human should have. This coldness came from the place where the two touched, and a row of goosebumps appeared on the back of Su Yiyan's hand. Su Yiyan struggled for a while, but she did not move at all. Her patience was also exhausted. "Sir, please let go of my hand, or else. Su Yiyan's eyes were full of hostility, "Or else you may not be able to keep your hand." Do Tianyi was stunned, and then he could not help but laugh. Miss Su seems to be different from the rumors. Su Yiyan rubbed her aching wrist and frowned when she heard his words. "Do you know me?" Do Tianyi did not answer directly, but asked back, "Miss Su doesn't know me. Why should I know you?" Do Tianyi looked at her deeply and smiled. "It's okay if you don't know me. You will know me soon." Su Yiyan's face changed slightly. Just as she was about to say something, Do Tianyi had already turned and left. Su Yiyan subconsciously took a step forward and stopped. She looked at his back as he walked away with a complicated expression on her face. What was this person doing here? The person in question had already left, so there was no way to answer this question. Su Yiyan pursed her lips and turned back to the banquet. Hua Chenhuan had been waiting outside for a long time. When she saw her come out, she immediately went to greet her. "What took you so long?" "Something happened," Su Yiyan said as she carried the baby back, looking serious. "What happened?" "I just met Do Tianyi at the bathroom door." "Do Tianyi?" Hua Chenhuan's face changed immediately. Thinking about how Do Tianyi had never given up on searching for Su Yiyan, Hua Chenhuan immediately pulled Su Yiyan over nervously. "Did he do anything to you?" "No." Su Yiyan shook her head and briefly explained what had happened. "I wanted to come back to you guys as soon as possible. When I came out, I was in a hurry and bumped into him at the bathroom door. He helped me up and left without saying a word." Hua Chenhuan looked at the red mark on Su Yiyan's wrist that had yet to fade. Her eyes were deep and serene. Just like Su Yiyan, he also felt that Do Tianyi's appearance here and his encounter with Su Yiyan was definitely not as simple as a coincidence. Most importantly, how did he get in here? In order to hold the little fellow's 1-month-old birthday party, this hotel had closed its doors today and specially emptied the venue. Non-invitees were not allowed to enter. Logically speaking, Do Tianyi should not have been able to enter. Su Yiyan was reminded by him and realized that something was wrong. She frowned and said, "Maybe he got in with someone's invitation." They had sent out neither too many nor too few invitations. Just the employees of Hua Chenhuan's company alone had sent out an unknown number of invitations. With Do Tianyi's ability, it was not difficult for him to get an invitation and sneak in. However, if this was the case, it further proved that his appearance here today was intentional and not a coincidence. Hua Chenhuan thought deeper than Su Yiyan. If Do Tianyi really got an invitation from someone else and sneaked in, if this person was a businessman, it would be fine. But if this person was an employee of his company, he sold his invitation just for a little money. This alone could not be allowed to stay. Moreover, most of the employees in his company had some guesses about Su Yiyan's identity. If he had really been bribed, then Do Tianyi had already. Chapter 8:12. Hua Chenhuan's eyes were cold. He had already begun to think about how to get someone to investigate the people under him. Although Su Yiyan didn't think as much as he did, she could guess the main reason why Do Tianyi suddenly appeared here. "Chenhuan, do you think he already knows?" "Knows what?" "Knows that I'm the owner of the medicinal cuisine restaurant." Hua Chenhuan's eyes were slightly cold. "Why do you ask?" "He just called me Miss Su directly and asked me how I didn't know him." From his tone, he seemed to be very sure that I know him, but I haven't met him before. At least, she hadn't met him as the miss of the Su family and Hua Chenhuan's wife. When Hua Chenhuan heard this, he had already guessed it in his heart. He comforted her. "It's also possible that when Jingping mentioned you to him." Su Yiyan pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Do Tianyi's attitude towards her today was very strange. It wasn't bad. It even had some intimacy and inexplicable familiarity. If he really knew her from Wen Jingping, his attitude would definitely not be like this. No matter what, he must have some ulterior motive for appearing at this time. "You should be careful these days. Don't contact him." Although she said so, Su Yiyan certainly wouldn't take the initiative to contact him. However, judging from today's situation, someone might not have such self-awareness. The banquet in the hotel was still in full swing. No one noticed that someone had left early. Outside the hotel, a black car that almost blended into the night waited for a long time. Finally, its real owner arrived. "Boss." Li Yu looked at the man who sat in the back seat. His face was as pale as paper, and some cold sweat could be faintly seen on his forehead. She looked worried. Do Tianyi leaned against the back seat for a while. Finally, his face was not as ugly as before. "I'm fine." Li Yu looked at him with some disapproval. Boss, if you want to see Miss Su, you can ask someone to invite her over. Why do you have to go through so much trouble to attend such a small banquet? Your body. Before Li Yu could finish speaking, Do Tianyi had already glanced over. Li Yu's words came to an abrupt end as she shut her mouth in embarrassment. However, her gaze towards Do Tianyi was still somewhat depressed and worried. Do Tianyi coughed twice. His face regained some color, and his eyebrows were slightly furrowed. He was a little annoyed. He had only been out for a short walk for less than an hour, but he was already so tired. His body really couldn't drag on any longer. Invite her. Are you sure? Li Yu choked for a moment. Putting aside the fact that Miss Su was not willing to come when they invited her, just the bodyguards around her were not simple. Even if they used force, they might not be able to bring him out. Even so, you don't have to be in such a hurry to see her. It's not like you don't know that Miss Su's impression of you right now might be. I know that her impression of me definitely won't be good. Then some people and some things are just rumors. Seeing is believing. Do Tianyi knew that because of Wen Jingping and the drama in Hai Yi, Su Yiyan might already know about him and might not have a good impression of him. However, he still wanted to see with his own eyes this woman who might be able to let him live a few more years. He wanted to see if she was as good as the rumors said, and if she was worthy of his special treatment. Chapter 8:13. Li Yu was silent for a moment, then asked tentatively, "What's your answer?" Do Tianyi's lips curled up slightly as he replied, "She's different from that woman." He seemed to have said something, but also seemed to have said nothing. Li Yu opened her mouth, but in the end, she didn't ask anything. The guests who came to congratulate them ate until their bellies were round. As the star of the banquet, the little guy earned a lot. Su Yiyan and the others felt relieved and didn't accept the red packets from the company, but they couldn't stop the Qing family and the Lan family from bringing gifts directly. Su Yiyan and Li Yu naturally couldn't ask people to take it back, so they helped the baby keep it. After the event, there were a lot of gifts. Su Yiyan couldn't help but sigh. No wonder everyone wants to be rich. He's so little, but he received so many gifts when he was only a month old. Selling him can guarantee that he won't have to worry about food and clothing in the future. Why would he need to work hard in the future? Don't you think so? Don't you think so? Su Yiyan poked Zai Zai's chubby little face as she looked at him. Zai Zai thought that she was playing with him, so he moved his hands and opened his mouth to smile, revealing his toothless teeth and the little dimple on the right side of his face. This dimple was inherited from Su Yiyan. When she was young, Qing Shuqin especially liked to poke her dimples. Now, Su Yiyan liked to poke her own Zai Zai. It could be said that they came from the same lineage. Hua Qinhuan looked at his wife and child from the side, and his eyes were full of a warm smile. They have to be returned. Outsiders always talked about how rich people were, but in fact, rich people were also people, and they also had relationships. No matter how many gifts others gave their children, they would have to return them in the future. It was like children happily receiving red packets during the new year, but they didn't think about how many red packets others gave them. Their parents had to return the same amount. They even had to add more when they returned. That's true. Su Yiyan suddenly stopped being envious. She tidied up all these things and held them in her arms. Okay, these are all mine. Hua Qinhuan. As if she could read Hua Qinhuan's mind, Su Yiyan smiled a little treacherously. There is a kind of love in this world called Mom and Dad help you save your red packet. Hua Qinhuan was amused by her. You are so experienced. Did you encounter the same thing when you were young? I have, but not to this extent. When Su Yiyan was young, the Su family wasn't as rich as it was now. In addition, old Master Cheng's identity was rather special, so the Qing family was used to keeping a low profile. Her birthday definitely wasn't as grand as her son's. She didn't have as many relatives and friends visiting, and the gifts she received weren't as luxurious as the ones her son received. Hearing her words, Hu Chenhuan leaned over and hugged her waist. She smiled faintly and said, "When it's your birthday next year, I'll also hold a big party for you." Su Yiyan couldn't help laughing. "I'm not a child anymore," she rebuked. "It's not like only children can celebrate their birthdays. Besides..." Hu Chenhuan didn't finish his sentence. Su Yiyan didn't wait for him to continue for a long time, so she turned to look at him in confusion. Hu Chenhuan seemed to have been waiting for this moment. He took the opportunity to kiss her and said softly, "You're not a child. You're my baby." Su Yiyan was stunned. She immediately blushed. The two parents were so lovey-dovey that they obviously forgot about the little accident on the bed. Until the little girl was unhappy that she was ignored and started crying. Su Yiyan and Hu Chenhuan. They were done for. They had taught the child the wrong things. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.